inner earth. So Agarthia is a place that has always existed as inner earth and in the inner earth realms. And sometimes scientists will say, well, we've gone down as deep as we can, but it's not actually in the crust or in the magma or in any lava flow or in any particular hardcore. It's not something that you can research geologically, because this is an interdimensional existence of Earth's core. All right, so Agarthans are just that, and they're very advanced. This is one of the places that the ancient Lemurians come from, and ancient Atlanteans as well. So you pretty much cover most of Lemuria and Atlantia by just talking about Agarthans and Mu. Mu is the original place where Agarthans came from in the galactic sphere, which was outside of the Pleiadian constellation. And they were some of the first beings that came to the planet. And when they began to inhabit third dimensional Earth, they were known as the Gautama tribe, who I often channel in my voice. And the only other being that I know that channels them in their voice is, I'd love to meet this guy one day. His name is Gennady, that name, Tashenka Papesh. Yeah, Gennady. He's the only other person who sings like me, because he's legitimately channeling them, the Agarthans that came into the Gautama tribe. So those were the first beings, came from Agartha, and eventually decided to create the very first expression of human, which was Gautama, first Lemurian tribe. Yeah. So they were everywhere. It wasn't just one place. It wasn't just the opening in Bavaria. It wasn't just around ancient Egypt. They came from there. They incorporated Earth in various places before the tectonic plates began to shift and go apart. Things were a little bit more together. So when Pangaea existed, for what it was known at that time, before the plates started shifting and moving apart, they were there together, knowing each other, living together, growing food together, working on technologically advanced types of agriculture together. That agriculture, from what we know of today, is known as hydroponics and aquaponics, all those sorts of things. So Agarthans are basically indistinguishable, from humans. Their physical characteristics, the only thing that's different is they're much taller. They range to typically about 15 feet and sometimes more. They're very tall. In their belief systems, with their war and peace lifestyles, they're peaceful. When Lemurians and Atlantians came from Agarthan up to the surface and began to, they were first underground in tunnels, these Lemurians. Agarthians forewarned of the destruction of their surface civilizations that would follow. And they chose to isolate, and they evolved in just with their own tribes in complete tranquility and peace. So the Agarthian network is comprised of a governmental council that's made up of ancient elders and councils. And Agarthia's capital city is Telos. This is why we call them sometimes Telosians, which was originally and still is. That capital is located beneath Mt Shasta in Northern California. This is why sensitives go there to be awakened by their kind. They get a calling, as the Ra group would say. And they typically will hear that calling from those beings when you're called to Mt Shasta. It's because you're hearing that calling from the Agarthian Council to remember where you're from and who you are. Another major city in its culture is Catharia, which is all about the liberal arts, the music and arts society. A lot of healers and shamans originate from there. Belief systems, I'd say that in that culture, they are very spiritually elevated. They do believe in the cosmic law of one, which is all beings are one. And when you're in service to others, that you're in the deepest service of love. And that means you can become aware and awaken to who you are. And you cannot be manipulated if you fully are awakened to what the cosmic law of one means. So They do believe in the cosmic law of one. So they are students of what I call the angelic order, or sometimes you'll hear this called the angelic hierarchy, or otherwise known as the Melchizedek order. Those are synonymous words for the same thing, or different interpretations of the same thing in their culture, in their spiritual culture. So the angelic order or angelic hierarchy is has a lot of classification of angels and their universal duties. So, they're responsible for training guardians and guardian angelics to help you to become aware. The Melchizedek order is actually the universe's spiritual school. It's like a spiritual university. When I tell you to meditate and to ask to go to spirit school, if you go there and you really you can understand that that's where you learn in that astral realm, you're connecting to the Melchizedek order in spirit school. It's our universe's oldest spiritual university of the most advanced kind. So there are currently around 480, 490 maybe planets that stretch across outer space. And it's like a city of spheres, if you will. Each world will teach you a different subject, to the cosmic students who want to remember the truth about law of one. So when students finish their planetary schooling on Earth, for example, their soul will return typically to the Melchizedek order for further education. But you can do that now in the astral realm. So a lot of the invocations that I ask you to say as you're falling asleep, just say, meeting with spirit guide, or learning blank in spirit school. If you say things like that, you're going to go there. You're going to go to that school and learn something from there and remember more of who you are in relation to Agartha. Most of us are from Agartha and or have had experiences with Agartha at some point. Okay. So inner Earth civilizations will say that every planet is hollow. And these advanced civilizations live in the interior of those worlds. All these advanced civilizations will say that the sun is hollow as well, that the moon is hollow as well. So when you get taught and get prepared to go off to another reincarnation experience, go off to another world, embodied or not, you study at the angelic hierarchy first and the Melchizedek order. And then you're off to another world, another experience. So I can tell you how to connect and how to remember. You need to ask to meet with a being called Mikos, Mikos. Mikos is the guardian of the multidimensional, around 400, 500 square mile library of Parthologos in the city of Catharia, which is located in the center of Hollow Earth beneath the Aegean Sea. So the steps leading up to the library are white alabaster. When I go there, I always see this white, and it's embedded with crystals and diamonds on each step and on the sides as well. So when you see pictures that people paint about like the concept of a stairway going up into the heavens, it's actually not going up, it's going in to somewhere. So the stones that I see that line I've never seen before. I mean, they're just various gems that are a staple in Catharia that don't present all the time here, So you can ask to be healed by them, you can connect to them, you can ask to meet with Mikos in spirit school. So there's not some special way that you do that, you just ask. It's really that simple to be able to let yourself go into a meditation, or if you don't meditate as you're falling asleep, just say meeting with Mikos in spirit school. Keep saying that sort of like as if it's an affirmation. Say it over and over and over again. And then when you go to sleep, you'll be there. You will literally astral travel there. Your spirit essence will go there. All right. So the Agarthian personalities, with food, they don't eat it. They take plant essences and plant things for energy from plants and essences, and just various things from plants, but it's not really a food. They don't chew, they don't have a digestive system. They are typically fifth dimensional beings. Their personalities are either very neutral and intelligent and wise, saying wise things, and or very loving. Just you'll feel a lot of love when you're around them. Their spiritual gifts are typically healing, and sometimes precognition. That's just like getting downloads of thoughts or downloads of like a knowingness, downloads of visions, but you don't exactly know like where they're from or what they mean. You just get a knowingness of something. Sometimes there's no vision or sense at all because they're not sensory, because they don't have bodies like that anymore. They've evolved out of that. They have light bodies now. So they don't have like standard clairvoyance or things like that. That's a human trait or a human gift that they would say that would be. So you can go into that library. That library is also humanity's greatest Akashic record. So this library not only holds the entire history of Earth, that's where I was trained as a galactic historian. That's why I have all the memories that I have, because I keep going back there, and you can do that too. So you can say access to the Library of Catharia, or just access to the library, and you visualize it. So it not only holds the entire history of Earth, but of our entire universe. And these records are stored on these, I've seen them as like crystal slides. Sometimes it's like they call them like telonium plates, because it's from Telos, and they're like clear crystal. It's an ancient indestructible metal slide, and it can be viewed on an advanced crystal projection system, either on a small holographic screen or in a mini theater that they will show you. So you can just go there and ask to see and know the same things that I know, or any galactic historian for that matter. That's how I learn, is by asking and then meditating and waiting to go there. I get dreams about it. I get, some people say you're just a very imaginative person, because I'll go into a meditation and suddenly I'm there. But I'm not the only one doing it. And when all of us come back with the same information, how can we be imagining the same thing, right? It cannot be a mental delusion, because there's too many of us. Do you see what I mean? So insofar as Agartha's or Telos's cosmic agenda, Telos is one of a little over 115 subterranean cities, and they have a unified mission to help us realize our full conscious selves, and their primary agenda is ascension. And at that time, when we do that, when we ascend, all the as so above and as so below civilizations will become what we call one united Earth. So that's their agenda, is to have one united Earth. So the Agarthans, often when I talk to them and ask for messages to Earth, they will say that they want us to know that a multitude of beings from cultures across the universe are here to assist us in raising our consciousness. They want us to know that we're not alone. They want us to know that we too will become members of that universal society and feel the love and unity. So they are members of what I call the Galactarian alignment of space people. That's just the best translation that I can give to you in English, because some of these languages just don't translate in the best way. So that is a universal alliance that works for the better of all the beings in the universe. So let's talk a little bit about their karmic pull. Is that they feel great sadness for us. So that's what they need to work on, is that constant sadness that pulls them to continue to help us, even at their own expense. Yes.
Can I go see Mike play?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Change your shirt. It's dirty. Spaghetti all over it. It's Sunday, so yeah, kiddos. Where was I? Looking through my notes to figure out what else I want to tell you about them. Insofar as dharma, their dharma primarily comes from healing technologies, and they're very light-oriented beings. So they find a lot of their purpose in awareness and awakening. That is their dharma. That is their purpose. So when you connect to them, that's you remembering your purpose and your time with them, perhaps in what we call the past lifetimes, but Telosians live outside of time now. So that's a parallel life. That's you as an advanced being, pretending that you're not when you're on Earth. So just remember that. Insofar as how that transfers into being human, bye. Insofar as how that transfers to being human, when you like Reiki, that comes from Agartha. When you like hands-on healing and when you visualize light and portals, that comes from Agartha. When you're just more into the whole concept of understanding the technology of light and the science behind it, that comes from Agartha. Insofar as there are more advanced technologies that I can tell you about, they have these silver fleets. It's like a disc-shaped craft that they have that they will come into Earth's atmosphere with. Unfortunately, our military likes to shoot them down. Luckily, the craft can die, but they can't. They literally, they're not. You can't kill them. They don't have physical form anymore. Their ascension games they've gone well beyond that. So they have light bodies. You can't destroy them. They'll just teleport elsewhere. But the ship can be destroyed, but that's it. So when you see these silver fleets of like these discs, they survey our world using, how can I describe it? A sort of organic computer. It's made from like an amino acid complex compound. I know amino acids are considered simple here, but they're complex there. And that organic computer system classifies all the conscious entities. So the best way I can describe it is these biological computers are linked throughout the entire solar system into our galaxy and the whole Agarthian Council and network. So the readouts are fed to their entire fleet, and those in command of Earth operations, as well as the Galactarian alignment, that council for processing, for consultation. And at the north and the south poles of our Earth, openings are protected from unwanted visitors by what I would call a magnetic force field. And it's camouflage with cloud covering. These openings are wide, so the Agarthans' largest motherships are able to kind of like just glide into Earth's interior with ease. So their spaceports are just inside of these polar openings and are spread out for miles and miles. And they have what they call guardians or celestial guardians that create like a virtual paradise using, best way I could describe it to you from what I've witnessed and remembered is like a the whole Garden of Eve was from this, the Garden of Eden was from this premise, right? So there are Agarthians that are like gardeners, and they create this virtual paradise using these circular designs that are interspersed with flowers, grasses, bushes, trees, ponds, waterfalls, and these, it's incredible. And they have these, it looks like it's floating almost, but it's not in your skies. You can't see it. There's too much cloud cover. And even if the cloud cover like brought you to the portal for it, you'd have that force field. So one of the force fields is called the Bermuda Triangle. So I've just given you an explanation for why people can't get through, because if your density is not congruent with 5th to 10th dimensional portals, you literally just disappear. And even if you are congruent, the body literally still disappears because it's gone in a portal that's similar to its own density structure. And then no one can see anything because you don't have those type of senses, and people who don't have that particular knowledge or density to even be able to physically measure in science what's going on, will just say it doesn't exist or didn't happen. So a lot to that. There's an aircraft that I studied. I did a lot of deep remote viewing studies with this aircraft that I know went into one of those portals, and everyone thought, that they got shot down, and then they were wondering what happened to all the people. How come they can't find bodies? It was in Malaysia that it happened, over the seas there, in that area. And that was just one of those portals, and everybody thinks something bad happened, right? Very interesting. So yeah, how that all transfers to being humans is just to understand that you can too remember your consciousness, your sovereignty, your telepathic gifts of knowingness and precognition that just comes. Agarthans are the original creators of what we call light language, or the language of light. So if you have a pull towards that, you can ask them to help you divinely remember that. So all of that, their most powerful saying that I can help you to connect to that memory is, harmony restores the flow of abundance. Harmony restores that. How do you be abundant? Harmony, right? So that's how you connect with them, is with that, their particular affirmation that they tell us that all the time. So the Agarthan councils will have told me that Earth will move directly into more fifth dimensional presence soon, because we're in fourth right now, and that's been a hard move. That's why all these things recently have happened over 2020 to 2021, because fourth is not working. This whole capacity of us being able to individually choose and be respected by other beings, and we can be sovereign, but that doesn't mean that other beings are going to allow that to happen. So fourth isn't working, right? You can't just escape into the astral realm anymore. Fourth is an astral realm where you have a light body but honor the shadow at the same time, and that concept of dualistic structures in that way isn't working. So what I can share with you that Agarthia has shared with me recently is that they tell us that the fourth will no longer exist, that it is literally being removed by the angelic hierarchy, and that Melchizedek order school, the universal school, as a part of our accelerated ascension plan, like we don't have to ascend in a way that involves so much suffering any longer. That's good news from the council that I bring for you today. All right. So now it's time for your questions. Does anyone have questions? You can put it in the Q&A if you want. I know that was a lot about Agartha, but they have such a big influence, so we had to start there. And I don't think I have any pictures because they just look human, so I don't think any of my galactic artists, I'm not an artist, I don't draw pictures like this, but I did bring a lot of pictures today that I will put both on screen and hold up for you. But I don't think that I have one because they just look so human. The only difference is they're tall. So I don't think my colleague Lisa made any of them. The Andromedans do look a little bit like them, but again, Andromedans look human. Okay, right?